roll in with our friends?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi friends. Today we're gonna make some delicious, amazing roasted potatoes. It's the simplest recipe, but we're gonna make it totally fantastic. Early spring, late winter, citrus and first herbs of spring, and we're gonna use our fermented Fresno hot sauce and some crema. So we're gonna use like a whole combo of potatoes. We have some red, some baby russet, some fingerling, some purple potatoes, and you just want to get them cut into bite size, depending on how big your bite is. You may get that size, but try and make it all the same size because you want these potatoes to cook evenly when they're roasting in the oven. And then just because we live in Portland and it's the end of winter vegetables, I'm also gonna add some rutabaga to this recipe because I think rutabaga is delicious. It's one of those vegetables that you can definitely find seasonally at the farmer's market, and it just adds like a little bit of a different flavor to your roast potatoes. I love when you're making dishes and you add those kind of like surprise, oh my god, what was that, into your dish. It's good for the people you're feeding. They get excited. Okay, so I'm just cutting up the potatoes, throwing them into a bowl that we're then gonna toss them with olive oil and sea salt before we throw them in the oven to roast. I've got the oven heating up on 375 to start, and we're gonna roast them through, and then we're gonna broil them to get them crispy on the outside at the end. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be super rustic. You don't have to get every inch of the peel off. You can eat the peel on these if you want. And rutabaga are super creamy, and they just have a little bit of a sweetness to them when they are roasted that is delicious. And you're gonna do the same thing here with these. Once you peel them, you're gonna cut them to about the equal size, bite size of your potatoes. Of course, they're gonna have a little bit different shape, but they're gonna fit right in with your potatoes. And that's a good thing about roasted vegetables. You can add anything. So you can add turnips to this, you can add beets to this, whatever you want. But you do want, when you're roasting vegetables, you wanna roast vegetables with kind of the same consistency so they cook evenly. Whereas like if you were to put Brussels sprouts in with this, which would be delicious, you would just not want to put them in at the same time because the Brussels sprouts would roast quicker than the potatoes. So you could start the potatoes and then halfway through add in the Brussels sprouts. But when you're roasting vegetables, just try and roast them even consistency. So we got all of our root veg. My bowl's a little bit full. At home I might not make it so full so I can toss it, but we're gonna just add olive oil because we want them all to be coated. Of course I didn't bring a big ladle. If you don't put so much in your bowl, it's easier to toss them around. Okay. And you can use your hands if you want, for sure, which I often do. So you're gonna lay these out on a sheet tray. And I like to kind of lay them out, make sure that they all have their own space on the sheet tray. And because potatoes love and always taste better with lots of salt, I'm gonna put a little salt on in the beginning. And of course we're gonna salt afterwards too, but I'm gonna do it at every stage. Okay, now we're gonna pop these in the oven at 375, and it's preheated. While our potatoes are roasting, we're gonna prep our herb topping. So I got the first chives from my garden and the little tiny Mexican tarragon tops that have come up. I'd love to have lots of herbs in the yard so that I can cook with them constantly. And it's really always exciting. The first ones that pop up in spring. Usually it's lovage, but Mexican tarragon beat it out today. So I just took these off with scissors this morning from the garden, and I'm gonna remove the ends. They're a little messy, and then I'm just gonna finely chop these chives. Oh, I also washed them, of course, and picked all the leaves out because there's still a bunch of fall leaves in the garden beds. Okay, so we're gonna top our roasted potatoes today with a mayo and crema mix, our fermented Fresno, which when you mix those two things together is phenomenal. Our chives, our Mexican tarragon, and an extra special ingredient right now, kumquats and my baby teeny lime quats, also from my garden. These tiny little citrus have so much depth of flavor. So for the tarragon, I'm just gonna, the same as the chives, thinly, really thin slices to sprinkle on top. And if you haven't had Mexican tarragon, you're used to having the French tarragon. The Mexican tarragon's a little bit stronger. The plants are so much hardier for our climate here in Oregon. So if you're curious to grow tarragon and you haven't ever tried this Mexican variety, yeah, it overwinters too, comes right back, which my French tarragon never does. So I recommend giving it a try. Now, when you're using these lime quats and kumquats, you know, you can eat the skin and everything, which is where a lot of the floral flavor comes from. So I just super thinly slice them. Oh my God, these are the babiest. Oh, they're so tiny. Look at those. They're like dollhouse slices of lemon. These lime quats are like my favorite citrus hybrid. I grew up with kumquats. I grew up in Arizona. Kumquats in the neighborhood. We used to eat them off of the trees, just whole. I never had a lime quat until recently. And I actually don't know where it was bred, but it's a hybrid and it's now my favorite. So same with the kumquats. Sometimes the kumquat's a little bit bigger. I will take off the end. And sometimes these can have bigger seeds in them. So see the seeds in there? I just pop those seeds out because you don't want to eat the seeds. You just want this, you know, you just want these tiny rings for your garnish. And these so amazing for salads, for on top of grilled meats, pretty everything up that you want to add a little citrus floral flavor to. So you can think of it like anytime you would use lemon zest, this would be appropriate, and even more flavorful. All right, so yes, when we were kids, we would have spitting wars. Now I'm remembering as I'm pushing out these seeds, we'd eat the kumquats and have spinning wars with these seeds. The kumquats we had were much bigger than this variety. And if you want to buy some to have in your yard, you got to bring it in the winter or have a greenhouse. But there is a local nursery called One Green World that has tons of citrus right now. If you want to grow your own. And you'll get fruit the first year, so it's worth it. Fruit you don't have to wait too long for. Garnishes now ready for our potatoes. All we have to do is wait for them to roast we're gonna check on them halfway through. They're probably gonna take, I'm using a convection oven, so they're probably gonna take half an hour to roast. So 15 minutes in, we're gonna check on them, probably toss them around a little bit. At home, if you don't have a convection oven, you can start roasting at 400 if you want. That's what I would do on my home oven, and it's probably going to take more like 45-50 minutes because you want them to be fork tender before we turn the broiler on. All right, so our potatoes are roasted. Look at how beautiful they are. If you don't have a convection oven at home and you want to get them crispier on top, just put your broiler on for maybe like 3 to 5 minutes, and you got to watch it. Don't let them burn. But that'll get the outside crispy. But when you do convection, it's pretty crispy. So we're gonna lay these all out on our serving platter. Yum. And we're gonna dress them. And we are gonna be using one of my favorite Hot Mama Salsa combos, the Fermented Fresno hot sauce with anything creamy. Like you mix this hot sauce with mayo, crema, sour cream, yogurt. It makes the best sauce for potatoes, crab cakes, whatever you want to dip in. It is so delicious. You can put on your tacos, burritos. So we're gonna do it on top of the potatoes for this recipe. So I made a mix of mayo and crema, and instead of mixing the two together, we're just gonna dress the potatoes with both. So, got that. Oh, I forgot, salt first. Gotta put more salt on our potatoes. You know they need them. Put salt on the table too, because people are gonna want more. I love to use sea salt. Use whatever salt you like. Then we're gonna put the Fresno chili. So this hot sauce, one of our most popular, is made with fermented Fresno chilies. Fresno chilies are a red pepper that looks somewhat like a jalapeno, but they have a little bit more of a pointed end. They're bright red. They're about the same heat level as a jalapeno, which I call like a medium heat pepper, but they're much fruitier. They have a much fruitier, sweeter profile. So it's my favorite pepper to use for pepper jelly, also in any kind of like sweet application. So we love it. We ferment it with sea salt and garlic. After fermentation, we add vinegar to it, and that's it. 4 ingredients. It's like the cleanest hot sauce, but with the best depth of flavor. You get the fruitiness from the pepper, the funkiness from the fermentation. So get yourself some. It's amazing. Great for breakfast, any kind of eggs. Okay, so we have our sauce combo on top, right? And then we're gonna finish it with our chives, because we're gonna make this look fancy. Put as many as you want. Of course, if you don't have chives in the garden, use green onion, use red onion, use what you like. I always want herbs on everything, so in goes the Mexican tarragon. This is gonna add like a different flavor. And then, for a little something extra, and to play off the citrus of the Fresno, look at this. We are making roast potatoes with beautiful tiny baby slices of limequats and kumquats. And now we're ready. Look at, it's roasted potatoes. It's like cheap, simple, but you could make that at a fancy dinner party or at home for yourself. So we have the Hot Mama Salsa staff is gonna try our wonderful potato creation. Come in. So we made some roasted potatoes and rutabaga with Fresno chili, crema and mayonesa. You won't even taste it. And chives, Mexican tarragon, and kumquats and limequats.
Oh my God, I love those. Okay.
Everybody scooch in.
Get in there, eat it up, see what you think. Wow. Yummy. I never have a frosted crema.
Oh, it's cream cheese.
Man, so it's for the dip recipe.
This one is lime.
No, se llama.
That one is kumquat.
Se llaman son las naranjitas. Naranjitas.
Finger.
More kinds of tomatoes.
Okay, there's more, so you guys can have a full batch too.
Hay más papas para que las puedan comer este
Did you make this crema too? Really?
Yeah.
Los hermanos aquí.